Hello YouTube, my name's Marie and today I'm going to do another Korean movie review, and that is of the film Now, first things first, I just want to apologize. It's raining extremely heavily right now, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear that on camera. When I say it's raining, I don't mean the little drizzles. I mean like a downpour, like you could go outside and take a shower in it. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's start talking about this truly great film. This movie follows a senior woman as she's kind of a nuisance to the local political department, or I guess more like a community center, as she comes in on the daily with a stack full of new complaints. Say her neighbor put a sign on the sidewalk, or a building's got a leak or a crack or something like that. You bet your britches that she is going to tell someone about it.
도깨비 할매.
증거 자료.
그 할매가 그동안 우리 구청에 신고한 민원 건수 자그마치 8,000건. 그 할매를 감당할 수 있겠나?
원칙대로 하면 됩니다.
She decides that she wants to learn how to speak English, and she ropes in one of the office guys. You know, he's young and he's well educated, super smart sort of thing, great at his job, and he ropes him in to teach her English.
Let's hang out sometime. There are lots of great places.
나 영어 좀 가르쳐줘.
예? 제니퍼님?
제니퍼?
그래요, 제니퍼.
백과사전이 영어로 뭐죠?
100 딕셔너리요.
Now, this film captured my heart instantly. I don't know if it's because I saw a lot of my own grandmother in our female lead, or if the humor was just, you know, something I could really relate to. It's probably a combination of the two. But the beginning portion is hilarious. You're gonna smile, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna be drawn in very easily by that kind of humor. And then it does take a tonal shift near the end when you find out a little bit more about her story. So just be aware that this film is going to give you all of the emotions. I did cry at one point as well, and not like, oh, no, tears, but like ugly cry. Like, it really got to me. And all of the emotions are because of the female lead, the grandmother type character. She is the emotional core and backbone to this entire film. Yes, there is a male lead, but I actually think he's quite forgettable. He serves his purpose, and it's good enough. You know, I have no complaints, but it's truly her movie, and I should write down the actress's name. I believe she's quite well known, but not to me. There are two other characters, and one is a secondary character, and I actually found her to be more memorable and likable even than the male lead, and she is I think it's a convenience store owner, and she's good friends with the grandmother. And then another character who is not even secondary, but like third tier, and he's kind of this gangster fellow, and there's a scene at the end with a cigarette, and you'll know it when you see it. And just that small cheeky scene was enough for me to be like, I like you and I'm gonna remember you. There's a great cast of characters, but like I already said, it's the grandmother's show. Now, the camera work, there's a lot of movement to it, but overall, I don't think that there's anything special to say about the cinematography or the score or the directing in general. This is a show that is about great writing, a really good script, and about the emotional impact of the grandmother's story. Now, I do want to talk about her story, her past, and that could be considered spoilers to some people. So if you don't want to know anything else about this, I would leave now. My rating for I Can Speak is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think it would be a little bit higher, or would be a perfect rating if there was just a little bit more of an artistic voice within the actual film work. But it's a great story. You're going to really enjoy it, and be prepared that there is a hard-hitting storyline underneath it all. Even though you're going to have a great time in the beginning, just be prepared. Have your tissues ready. You learn a little over halfway through the film that the grandmother is a surviving comfort woman. And I'll be honest, I had no idea what that was. And after having watched the film, it sent me down like a rabbit hole of researching comfort women, and I watched another film about comfort women called Spirit's Homecoming. I don't think I'll review that one. I'll just touch on that one in my September wrap up. But it just now, if you don't know, and I hope I explain this properly, because like I just mentioned, I had never heard of comfort women before watching this film. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comfort women were local women that the Japanese army kidnapped and forced into prostitution. Actually, prostitution is probably not the right word, because that implies that you're getting paid for your sexual work, whereas comfort women were more like sexual slaves. They had no choice. And the statistic that I found was that these young girls were raped on average between 50 and 80 Japanese soldiers a day. And there were hundreds of these so-called comfort stations. So what made me so angry about hearing about this, or being introduced to this horrific historical event, was not so much that it happened. I mean, that really did affect me, and I was angry about that, but more so that I wasn't taught about it in school. Now, the curriculum for a Canadian student might have changed. I did graduate quite a few years ago, but when I was in school and when we were studying World War II, it was never mentioned. We did not learn about comfort women, because comfort women is a term that I think would have impacted me just as much as it does now, as it would have then. Probably more as a high school student, because I was quite fragile. The term comfort woman, in my opinion, should invoke as strong of a response as terms like Holocaust and residential schools. So I'm just shocked that something that affected so many people was not taught to me. I've never felt so betrayed by my own education system, and like that's saying something, because I have major problems with the education system. But anyways, my point in discussing this and in bringing it up is to say that I think this movie, I think I Can Speak, would be a perfect introduction to this historic event to, say, a younger viewer. For instance, I mentioned that I watched Spirit's Homecoming, and while I think Spirit's Homecoming does a really good job at laying to bear how the situation actually probably was, you know, like the feel of it, and like how horrific and abusive the whole thing was, and I think that film does a good job being very realistic, whereas I Can Speak is a good just like, oh, this is kind of what happened, and this is how it's still affecting our communities and people who are still alive. Like, there are still survivors, like comfort women survivors, and you should know this. This should interest you, and you should want to learn more about it like I did. I Can Speak is a great introduction to the comfort woman issue as much as it is a fantastic film. Anywho, have a good day, have a good night, bye.